Lucky here. It's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
But what's super fun is knowing that we have Gary Sadlemyer on our podcast.
That's the super fun part.
This is the super fun part. I think now we're at what? Do you know what number we're at, Pat?
244.
244. That's your lucky number now.
My new lucky number.
Yeah.
So you do one every day or
We do.
several a day?
Every single day.
We do, and some days we do a couple, three. Kind of depends, especially heading into the weekends. We'll try and do them, but sometimes we'll just do one every day. But yeah, every day for sure there's been one that's ready to roll.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's
it's
fun.
It's a lot of fun. So since February 15th, a new one every day. And we promised the first year there will be one every day, and then who knows what happens after that.
See, we're a 4 or 5 hour show. We don't push everything we talked about together is about 45 minutes. So now we talked for a half hour. We still have to play that music and commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so Gary Sadlemyer on the show with us. This is a first
Hi.
for us all the way around.
Because it never would have happened because we were never at the same company. We couldn't have gone on your show. You couldn't have gone on our show. It just would have never happened.
And we couldn't hear each other really.
No.
Yeah.
Because we're on at the same times. And
Yeah.
I knew you guys had a great show, though.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
We would be always within a point or two of each other.
Yeah.
In the ratings when they came out, and I talked to so many people that loved you guys' show, and I've known you for years. And so this is a kick. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be the fun part because we get to take the deep dive on Gary Sadlemyer.
Careful. Be very careful.
So, I mean, everybody, by and large, if you're a Husker fan, if you're from Nebraska, if you're from Omaha, if you listen to AM radio at all, if you listen to any radio at all, you know who Gary Sadlemyer is. That's probably
fair.
Pretty good
Yeah.
overview.
If you hang around long enough.
Let me ask you this. Originally, where are you from?
Minnesota.
Wow.
Grew
And
up
how'd
on a
you-
farm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Central Minnesota, lakes country and farm country, and beautiful. It's a great way to grow up. Small town,
Nice.
and I go back there try to get back once a year, sometimes
Do you
twice.
still have family back there?
Yeah, everybody pretty much. I have a nephew and his family in Washington State and a niece in Wisconsin. Other than that, everybody's right back home.
That's kind of
So
nice.
it's fun to go back. You know what else is cool? The farm I grew up on is still in the family. It's a century farm up there. It was my grandfather started it in, I don't know, the early 1900s.
Wow.
And now my brother and his wife live there. So it's really cool to
That is cool.
be able to go back home.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Love that.
That's great. When you were in school, what did you do in high school? What was
Everything.
your-
That's the beauty
Yeah.
of a small
Isn't
town.
it though?
Yeah.
Honestly,
We just talked about that with SIP yesterday. Yeah.
talking about that small. He used a small town. He's from Columbus, Waterloo, Ashland. So
You
I was,
guys are from metropolises compared
right?
to me.
So how big was your town?
Our town, Eagle Bend, was 600.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many in your class?
33.
Jeez.
How many in your
Yeah.
class?
I had 16 in my graduating class.
16?
Waterloo. It was 450 at the time. Yeah, population.
Oh, that's right. Waterloo. I was thinking of Wahoo. Yeah, Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Right.
She's
So
the
that's
metropolis
similar.
of all
Yeah,
of us.
right. Okay.
Yeah, Ashland, you
Yeah.
had what?
We had like 78. I think there were 78 or 80 in our class, in our graduating
lot.
class.
Sure. So, and
Right. 200 in the whole high school, which was only sophomore, junior, and senior. But we had 200 in the whole high school. Yeah, freshmen weren't over.
yeah,
in
well, our
class.
building was
Were you
K
one
through
building?
12.
See,
Yeah.
that's
So was ours.
okay. The K
except
through
there
12.
was no K when I came. I mean, that's how old there was no K. There is now.
There was no K.
No, I started with first grade.
I think my dad went to school in the same school I went to, and in the same
that's
building.
cool.
The elementary school was K through 12, and then that school became K through 9
Right.
when I was there, and then they built the new school in the mid 70s.
Oh, okay.
Is when they built that. But when they built the high school, they didn't have a cafeteria. I remember that when I was growing up because they used to have to cook everything at the
Yeah.
one school and then haul it over
Oh,
to
wow.
the high school for them.
Yeah, we were all self-contained here.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
But the one school, all the grades in one
Yeah.
school, I understand that.
And now what was
Yeah.
neat, though, I thought about growing up like that, is you got to learn a little bit about a lot of things. I mean, we'd be in band, choir, football, basketball, baseball, FF, you name it.
Exactly.
And I just thought that was neat. And back then, this was in the 60s, all of those small towns, there'd be a town about that size every 5 or 10 miles. And they were all supported by the surrounding farm community. Every farm family had a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And so there was enough to support that town and the school district. We had 11-man football.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, because
That's
the
awesome.
population was enough.
Yeah.
And now, it was kind of sad to see what happened several years later.
I feel that way about some of the towns out western Nebraska.
They paired up with our arch rival.
Oh my
God's
God.
sakes.
Are you kidding? So when they consolidated schools,
Yeah.
so that would be like, okay, when Waterloo, they teamed up with who all to become...
We were friends with Valley. So it was Waterloo and Valley came together to be DC West.
They're DC West.
So
So you guys
they
were
were
friends?
friends.
So
Yeah,
that's
for the most
DC
part.
West.
Okay.
Yes.
Ashland, Greenwood. Greenwood
Right.
merged in junior high was when the kids from Greenwood would start coming, and the kids from Juan. They would bring the kids from Juan. It's starting in 7th grade, and the kids from Greenwood would come
Juan.
and start.
Right.
Juan is north of Ashland.
What?
I didn't even know that existed either.
Juan?
Wann is Juan is between Ashland and Memphis. Memphis is north
She's
of
lying,
west.
Pat, isn't
I know.
she?
Yeah.
There's no.
It sounds like a bunch of crap.
The
but
only
I've
thing
seen
in
the
Juan
sign
is a
before.
church, and we
Yeah.
used to go over there. We would go there every year for the bazaar, the church bazaar, because everybody would have their homemade quilts,
Yeah.
their homemade foods and stuff. And you
sounds
go
like
there.
she's full of crap.
And I'm telling you the truth. I
Wow.
swear to
Wow.
you. My buddy Doug Anderson grew up just down the street from from the church in Juan. But there were kids from, and Doug was one of those kids from Juan that they weren't in school with us until they got into 7th
Juan.
grade, and then they came to Ashland.
Man.
Anybody else know where Juan is? I'm just curious.
I'm
Anybody
sure.
out there, help me out. So, yeah.
Is that like one of those towns like, I don't know if you remember the Waltons. Ike Godsey had a store, and that was about it.
Hey, the Waltons are right up there. I love the Waltons, not as much as Little House on the Prairie,
Yeah.
but the Waltons were a little more modern than Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, they were a little bit. They were in the 30s, the
30s,
Depression.
yeah. Because Little House was in the 1800s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do love small
Walnut Creek.
towns.
So
I
do
know.
I.
Yes,
It's bad.
absolutely.
I almost feel bad for people that don't grow up in small towns. People that grow up in the city.
I know.
They don't get it. Like you said, learn a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
But they just don't get to experience small town life, being out in the country, learning how to drive on gravel roads, all that stuff.
I thought,
Oh, my God.
I think there are advantages to both, Pat, in a way. Like my late wife grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
She's an Omaha girl her whole life. And it was really interesting, I think, for both of us to see the different perspectives.
How did you guys meet?
Well,
I want to hear that story. Small town boy and big
yeah.
city girl.
I had been
Country mouse, city mouse. What happened?
I had been dispossessed by my first wife.
Oh,
Kicked out,
okay.
doing the divorce trek. This was back in 86. And then that following several months lives in the winter of 87. I was doing afternoons then on KFAB and had become friends with a lady that started working there in the continuity department. And she was working late one night and she said, let's go to dinner. Okay. Remember Noah's? It's now a sports bar just north of Dodge 114th. DJ's Dugout.
Oh, yeah.
That was several things. At the time, it was kind of a sit-down restaurant, so we went there. It was like a January or February night, and we're leaving, walking out of the parking lot. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, let's go have a drink. I said, no, I just want to go. I said, we'll just have one. I said, no, I really want. She said, I'd go if you wanted to. Fine.
Oh, man.
Fine. Where do you want to go?
Great move.
How about the Savoy? The Savoy is now the Fernando's.
Okay.
There at 114th. Fine. That was close by. So we went over there, and the night manager, and it was a nice restaurant, bar, nightclub. The night manager was Roseanne. And it turned out that she and my friend had been friends for years.
So here's the
And
twist
she
in the
introduced
story.
us. Yeah, and she introduced us, and we just sat there. It wasn't busy by that time of the night. We just sat there and talked, and the next thing you know, they're closing the place, and we're still sitting there talking. And I remember thinking to myself while we're talking,
How do I lose this
I might
one?
survive this divorce thing after. Yeah. Really.
So now these two are friends.
Yeah, they'd known each other for years.
Was this a plot or
No, it wasn't.
it backfired on
I know
your
for a
date?
fact that it wasn't.
So it
was a
backfired
pure
on the date.
coincidence.
Yeah.
So-
No, this wasn't a date. My
Well-
friend
So she
and I who went to dinner.
wasn't like interested in Gary Sadlemyer and her deeper level. Your friend at the radio station.
No.
Okay.
She
I don't
just wanted
think
to
so.
go out.
We
She
really
wanted-
just hung out.
and she was just
and we're
mad
still
at you because you were
friends.
no fun to go have a drink.
Yeah. Well, we just would.
I know people like that.
you know.
You're like, come on, I would have a drink if you wanted me to.
Yeah.
So come with
Yeah.
me. Okay, I get that. That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good thing you went.
I don't know. I guess we just never connected or thought of it that way. I don't
Yeah.
know. Anyway, so she knew Roseanne for years, and
Would your paths with Roseanne probably would not
I don't
have
think
crossed?
so.
Wow,
Isn't
that is
that
incredible
crazy?
how that stuff
I don't
happens.
think so. And
That's Wow. Now let me ask you this too. Go back to
Got
second.
married a couple years later.
That's well, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry for your loss too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But have you always worked at KFAB?
Seems like it, doesn't it?
I'm not trying to say, God, it's been
In
a
this
long time.
business, that's
But
a good thing. That's an incredible thing to say at the
did you
same station for so
right?
long.
Did you start in radio in Minnesota?
No, I started at KRGI in Grand Island.
Really?
That was my first radio job, and that's an interesting story, although it's kind of inside baseball. Left college after 2 years. I was impatient.
Okay.
Went to Concordia up in Moorhead, Minnesota. Left college, got married, enrolled at Brown Institute in Minneapolis, which was
Okay.
a radio tech school, basically.
Broadcasting
But
school,
it was a
tech
way
school.
to get in. It was
Yeah.
a way.
Did you have that bug? Did you always have that bug?
Always,
You wanted to work
yeah.
in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was one of three things that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And
What were the other two?
well, or two or three. Well, when I went to college, I decided I was going to be a coach and a teacher. And the first thing they told us, my freshman year, there won't be any teaching jobs. Oh, great.
Perfect.
So, okay.
You already got my money.
Yeah. Landscape architect was one of the other things. I wanted to be a groundskeeper at a major league ballpark. Then I did the math. There's only 20-some ballparks at that time.
So 27 jobs.
Another thing was an attorney, and so but this radio thing had been in my head since I was really a young kid.
Wow. Wow.
So anyway, got impatient. 4 years college seems like forever when you're that age. So I got impatient. Quit, got married, enrolled at Brown Institute. And the first day there, they asked us, okay, we'll want to know. They had a guaranteed placement service. They said, we'll want to know when you graduate, is there any place you won't go? And some of the guys, I won't go. I said, no, there's no place I won't go. You
Right.
got a box of records.
Yeah.
And they've got a microphone, and so graduated, and it was about a week later. I'm sleeping in my little tenement apartment up in Minneapolis, and the phone rings, and it's the placement director, Hugh Phillips from Brown. I said, boy, do I have a deal for you. KRGI, Grand Island, Nebraska. He said, you want to call the general manager right away. And I'd never heard of Grand Island for some reason, and I'm thinking it's the typical startup market. It's probably 2,000 or 3,000 people. And
I hear you.
And so
This will surprise a lot of people, even in the state of Nebraska. They don't realize really what the size of the market is out there.
Right. Now, Grand Island, and I found out when I called the manager, he was a character. Says, a town of 35,000 very friendly people. You come out here, I need you right away. And I said, well, yes, sir. I said, it'll take me a week or so to get packed up. And here's what had happened. The program director out there was on vacation, and the general manager got sideways for some reason with one of the announcers and fired him. And he didn't know anything about radio. He was a pure sales guy.
Right.
And so he just knew to call Brown Institute, and so Hugh called me. Phillips called me.
Oh my God.
And that's how that happened. And
Wow.
I know when I got out there, I know when the PD got back, the program director got back, he thought, what in the hell have you done to me? Because I'm not kidding you guys. I learned more in 2 weeks at a real radio station than I learned in a year at Brown.
I went to broadcasting school. Bailey's School of Broadcast down in Phoenix is where I went.
They make the
And,
cream liqueur, don't they?
Oh, well, I do. But
The
anyway,
Irish-
She drinks it.
The Irish cream, that's what they make. Yeah, and radio. They teach radio and they make Irish
it's
cream.
the same Bailey's.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same family. Absolutely. But I went to Bailey's and I got an internship 2 weeks after I started working at one of the morning shows. And it was with Glenn Beck. And he was still doing Top 40 radio at the time. One of the first things he said to me was, get your money back.
Really?
We'll teach you here. Don't. And I had
Yeah.
zero experience in radio at that point. And I was like, no, because the whole beauty of it to me was the school was that everybody that taught at the school worked at a radio station in Phoenix.
Sure.
So there was a networking side of it. But you're absolutely right, because everything I learned, they filled a curriculum. I had a book, I had a syllabus. And so, I got stuff for what I paid. But I know what you mean, that first couple of weeks,
man.
and especially in a small market, because I ended up in Hastings
Oh, yes.
for a number of years. Learned a lot there because talk about wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to Grand Island. How long were you in Grand Island?
3.5 years.
That's awesome.
And then right to KFAB?
Yes.
Wow.
A wonderful old guy out in Grand Island befriended me shortly after I got there. And he was a character. He was like my dad's generation, and he he liked radio, and he was known. He billed himself as the number one Husker fan in the world, and he might have been. And
That's
he'd go
before
around. He
Twitter
was on the
handles.
speaker circuit and stuff. And we got to be friends. We did a couple of radio features together about the Huskers, and he was friends with Lyle Bremser. Lyle Bremser was the legendary
Yeah.
Man, woman,
voice of
and
the
child.
Huskers. Yeah.
Yes.
And so he put in a good word for me, and eventually I made the call and actually got through to Lyle. And he said, well, we don't have anything right now, but call Ken Hedrick. Ken was the station manager.
That's a pretty good impression, by the way.
Thanks. Thanks. I love him. And Ken said, well, send me at that time you'd send a cassette tape and a resume, which I did. And that was in probably the summer of '76. And then that November he called me and they had an opening. And I came down, interviewed, and met Walt Kavanaugh and all that. I mean,
Oh my God.
and
Legendary
yeah,
names.
and he offered me the job that day. And so I moved here, and my first wife, in December of '76.
Okay.
So let's
Isn't
not do the
that-
math. How many years ago that was?
That's
know?
cool though, because
Yeah.
that was right after Huskers had risen to such prominence.
No, they were. You know what? I was an enormous college football fan. Anyway,
Okay.
and then you move here. Are you kidding me?
Was it just like next level? Because I mean, for people when you grow up here, it's just that's what it is. It's just, and,
Yeah.
and I'm shocked when you go to other places and
Yeah.
it's not what it is. It's like
Yeah,
they're
well-
like, oh, they have a college football team. They didn't even, and I don't think as everybody likes to say, well, you don't have anything else to do.
No, they don't understand it.
that's
They
not
don't.
the same
And you know what? You know what? You would need professional equipment to measure how little I care about that. What these people get, they don't get
Yeah.
it, so that's fine.
That's fine.
But I remember being home on Thanksgiving break from college in 1971,
Okay.
and my older brother and his family, and my older sister and her family were there. We're all there at Thanksgiving. Little kids running through the house screaming, and my brother and I knew this Nebraska-Oklahoma game was on that afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I had brought my little black and white TV home from my dorm room, and we went up to our old bedroom, put that thing on, and watched the game of the century.
Oh my God.
And I kind of became a fan of Nebraska that day just because of the way they played and the heart and the effort and the talent, having no idea
Yeah.
that within a year and a half I'd be living there. So I come out here, and I'll never forget, Jill, that first football Saturday in Grand Island. Everywhere I went, you could just hear the game. Every
true.
house, every business, every open garage, everybody had the game on.
And was it not televised?
It was awesome. Very few of them.
Radio. Is it, you're
We
talking
usually
about
get 2 a year.
exactly.
Nebraska,
Exactly.
always the Oklahoma game. And then usually there'd be one during the course of the year that they televised. Other than that, no, it was all radio.
Everything was radio,
Yeah.
and it was anywhere you went. I remember as a kid too in Ashland as well. You go anywhere,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what store you went into.
Right.
The game was on the radio.
You could walk down the street and just hear the game.
Yep, and there's
Heck.
only one broadcast.
No, there
And
were
we had
there
that's
were
all
4.
we only had was. you
Well,
only
yeah,
heard-
each town
right,
would have one,
right. Yeah,
but KFAB had its own. WOW at the time, 590 at the time was WOW. They originated to a few stations, I think, and then KFOR and KLIN in Lincoln
Okay.
had large networks.
okay, yeah. Ours was always KFAB. It was just KFAB.
Yeah.
That was just what
You just added on
Yeah.
because
It
you're
did-
close to Omaha. Sure.
exactly. Yep,
Yep.
that's what it
Man,
was.
it was something.
Even not close to Omaha, I remember turkey hunting with my dad when I was younger. KFAB, clear out in the.
That's all you could hear.
Yep.
Coming from the farmhouse and coming from the barns and coming from the trucks, driving down the road.
Yeah,
That was it.
I know. And then they had the opportunity to get on the broadcast.
How was that?
I mean, it was nirvana.
How many years did you do that, Tim?
Started in 1980, and our last season with Kent and I was 1995. Not a bad way to go out.
I remember I recorded you
Wow.
guys the 83 when we lost the
Yes.
blocked extra point. Not extra point, but the going for two.
I love it. Yes.
I heard in my bedroom. I had my stereo set up and I wanted to listen to it. So I had a tape deck. I was recording it from you. It was pretty awesome. Hearing your voice and Kent, it's like those. And I don't mean to make say my childhood.
Yeah. Sure.
To
No, I understand.
But it's your voice and Kent. It's like you hear those voices and it instantly takes you back to when you were a kid and when the Huskers were so much a part of your life. They still are, but
I love that. Yeah.
When you're young like that and you just hear those, it's like those voices, those baseball guys.
Yeah.
Those
sure. I
Joe
grew up
Bucks
with the
and-
Twins broadcasters, and that's still in my head.
Is that
Herb Carney
is that
and
your
Halsey
baseball team?
Hill. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and by the way, 16 consecutive postseason losses, all but 3 of them to the Yankees. Not that I'm counting.
or bitter or mad.
Or bitter.
So
right.
so
Right.
speaking of, as we speak, baseball wise, the Yankees are still against the Astros. Is
Yes.
that correct? And the Astros, is it as we speak? Is today the day that they play them?
They play, Game 4 last night got rained out. Wednesday nights, they'll play Game 4 today if they can, then Game 5 tomorrow. And then if they need another one, they'll go back to Houston. I expect Houston to win the whole thing. That is just too much pitching.
Yeah.
I love.
It'd be fun to see.
I'm
that.
glad to see. I want to see because I was glad to see what happened with the Nationals.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
New blood.
That was pretty awesome.
And to do it in such fashion.
Let me ask you this then. What is the Minnesota Twins' ancestral home?
Oh my goodness!
It's Washington. I won't make you guess.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
When did they move?
Well, in 1961, the league expanded, and the Washington Senators, the Griffith family, moved the Senators to Minnesota, and so they dropped Major League Baseball on me when I'm 8 years old. All of us boys just went crazy. We just lost our. I mean, you can imagine. We all had a favorite player, and I mean, so it's a lifelong thing.
That's crazy. Imagine that at that age, because we've been going down kind of a baseball hole the last few days. Because he was talking about because he was bat boy for the Omaha Royals.
Really?
Yeah, it was fun.
And so that was
Those were
his
fun days.
childhood.
Fun days.
And then we getting to meet all those players and all that stuff. And we have always had that connection with Kansas City.
Sure.
But to have the team actually dropped in your backyard.
Oh man, that was awesome. Still is. I mean, they had a great year. 101 wins. They set the major league record for home runs.
And you remember every
They
one
got to
of
buy
them.
some pitchers in the offseason. They got to buy some pitchers. I mean, come on. Well, really, that's what New York does. That's what everybody else does.
Spend a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, New York. What is their budget now? I don't even know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's crazy numbers.
What's your team? You have Royals or
honestly, I like Arizona.
what?
I know where that comes
Oh
from.
yeah, you worked down there for a while.
I did, and I was there when they first showed up.
The Diamondbacks, yeah.
That's where I was when they first opened up in the Bob Arena.
Yeah.
Bank One Ballpark.
How about you, Pat?
Royals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love the Royals.
Yeah,
Love
when I
them.
got to see them play, they played their first series, which was against the Colorado Rockies. And I got to be there for all 4 games
Nice.
that they played. I think it was 4 games.
Yeah, that's a connection.
And I still got the original, that first program. I've got 4
Oh,
of those
nice.
original programs, and they lost. But that's okay.
Yeah.
And didn't matter. And they had the big ballpark with the thing that the roof opened up.
Yeah.
That whole deal was
Well, you
going
have
on.
to
That was
down there,
downtown.
man.
Yeah, it was really cool. But and they even had the pool. I think they had the pool up set up too when they first opened. But that was in the 90s, 80s, in the 80s,
Oh,
90s,
man, I
90s,
can't
90s,
remember.
in the
90s,
90s.
I think,
It was in the
yeah.
90s because I wasn't living down there when they did it. But I went back down because my cousins
Randy
lived
Johnson down there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And my cousins lived down there, and so they had me come back down to go to those games. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
No doubt.
It was
No doubt.
awesome. But
Love baseball.
Good memory.
Yeah,
But
so-
yeah, there's something about baseball and just maybe it's just because baseball fans or whatever, but it seems like baseball always stirs up more nostalgia than whether it's football or hockey, any other sport. It seems like baseball does that.
Well, to me, Pat, Major League Baseball and college football are our 2 national treasures when it comes to sports.
Honestly, college football, I love college. I used to
man.
love the
Oh,
NFL
man.
until the 90s hit, or 80s, late 80s, early 90s, when they all hell broke loose. You know, it was just like you didn't know who played for what team anymore,
Yeah.
and everything was moving around. But up in the 80s, I was like really into the National
man.
Football
Well, I mean,
League.
the
college, absolutely.
Yeah.
and not
College
to go
football.
down too deep of a
Yeah.
wormhole, but what's your take on college players getting paid?
Well, but the issue is, should they be allowed to see proceeds from the use of their name, image, or likeness?
So it's not the university is giving them a check. It's them being able to go out and do
market themselves.
Yeah, which they should.
I think they should.
Well, I know it's coming in one form or another. What they're trying to do now, everybody's trying to figure out how to do it. What structure will it look like? I just hope that the non-scholarship players are not left out.
Right. If if the colleges take the lead, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if they're the ones that are controlling the flow of the money, all of a sudden they've got that marketing tool that, like they were talking about in California, they can do that now. Now other schools can't do it because of the way their laws are.
I've always thought it was amusing that because I've heard this drumbeat for years. Oh, these poor college players are exploited.
They university makes money.
Hey, exploit me. I get room, board, books, tuition, and fees. I get to wear that uniform and run out of the tunnel, and people know who I am. And then I get an education if I take care of business for free. Exploit me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nick Ball had a really good point on his podcast a couple weeks ago with Bo, that they were talking about this, basically the same thing. He said, I don't think that society and fans give football players, college football players specifically, enough credit for being smart enough to realize that. He goes, and he was talking to about Matt Verzal. He says, do you think Matt Verzal expected at the time, if they could do this, if they could make money on their own, likeness, whatever, that he would be making as much money as Tommy Frazier? He understands Tommy Frazier's Tommy Frazier. Matt Verzal's Matt Verzal. Yeah. Just like Nick Ball, when he played for Kansas, he would expect, I'm not going to make as much money as the star of the show, especially if they're able to go out and do their own endorsements or their own appearances, whatever it is. Right. So I think they don't, his take was that we don't give the college football players enough credit to realize who's going to make more money than the other person. That's why if the colleges take the lead, I think it wouldn't be right. I think the players would have to take the lead. It'd be very messed up.
Yeah. There's all kinds of ways they can do it, and they have to be careful. And I think the conference commissioners and the NCAA, I think this is one area where they're going to back off, because they know if this goes to court and antitrust action, they'll lose. Most likely.
Yeah, it'll be a huge mess, and it'll be an entangled mess that will last for years.
I don't know if antitrust is the right, whatever the legalese would be.
I bought it, Gary.
Wow, it sounded good.
It's a big legal term. It sounded really good.
It's all in the delivery.
That's right.
Right?
Right. A lot of it is, actually.
Too bad. Especially around this place. You just act like you know what you're talking about.
Restraint of trade, I think. How about that? It'll probably
be. Even sounds more special.
Wow.
Your Honor. Yeah. But that's coming. There's no doubt that's coming.
That's awesome.
Thanks to Kugler Vision for supporting our podcast. They were the first. They're great. Love Kugler Vision.
Absolutely. World-class leaders in their field. Without a doubt, people come from far and wide to have their eyes taken care of by their team. Dr. Lance Kugler, Dr. Mike Stuntz, and the entire team is phenomenal. All you got to do is get online at kuglervision.com. That's where you make your appointment for your consultation. Have the consultation. They run you through the tests, and the tests are almost fun. I mean, seriously, because you're in like this spaceship environment, and you're just rolling through these different tests. And at the end, they can tell you exactly what's going on with your eyes, what you can expect, what they can do for you, and here are your options, and you can decide. And if you want, you may end up doing it the same day, as a matter of fact. So ditching the contacts, ditching the glasses. I know we've talked about the whole paying for glasses over the course of a lifetime. New prescriptions, same with contacts, getting stuff in your eyes when you have contacts and you have to find your glasses. Kuglervision.com. Fill out that consultation. You do it yourself. It's a scheduler right there. You pick the day, you pick the time.
Tell them you heard it on the Pat and JT podcast.
My God. Well, see, now we got a chance to kind of peel back the layers a little bit.
That's right.
Ugly,
Gary
isn't it?
Sadlemyer, not at all. We want to know more. So we want to know if you come back.
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. And now that I know how to get here. Thank God for Google Maps. Yeah. How about that?
That's exactly what Sid said, too.
That's going to be a segment. Thank God for Google Maps.
How long did it take you to find our office? That'll be our segment.
Right.
Next time, bring Rosie.
That's a whole podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. You know what? Honestly, you could bring Rosie.
Yeah.
No, because you won't need, let's say, look, I go every morning. I mean, without Jim here, this morning or today, I got to figure out if I start a sentence, I'm going to have to finish it myself. So, but I'm sure he'd love to come out.
That's hilarious.
So you did double work this morning.
That's hilarious. Because the first time I worked with Jim Rose was in Lincoln.
Yes.
At KLIN.
Right.
And he was a newbie and doing an afternoon show, a little sports show that he did in the afternoons that eventually got picked up and turned into Sports Nightly.
Oh yes.
That was
Very
his,
talented
and
guy.
at that, and
Extremely
John
talented
Bishop
guy.
at the time was his call screener.
Right.
He sat out by the front door in the broadcast house,
Yeah.
and
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is. He's a dear friend and a very talented guy. We give each other no ends of crap, as you can imagine.
I
You
love
guys
it.
have been on the air together.
You need to.
you got to. You can't go anywhere else. Otherwise, it's just
Yeah.
no way.
And and so many years with Kent Pavelka too, and
Yes.
we're still close. In fact, that you mentioned John Bishop. John tweeted this out the other day when they announced the game in Ireland
Yes.
in 2021, and John said if it's at 1:00 in the afternoon back here when they play the game, he said I'm gonna hire Gary and Kent to do to watch the game and do play-by-play while I play Nerf football in the backyard
awesome.
because that's the way football's supposed
That
to be.
is
That's
is
the way to do
awesome.
it.
Wouldn't that be
I love
cool?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be very cool.
I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you guys should do that. You should do my God, wouldn't that be funny? Have the screen up there,
That would be
turn down the
awesome.
sound,
Right.
and you guys call the game.
Yeah. That would
be
be
a
fun.
great
I said, I'm in.
promotion.
I'll do it. What the heck?
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I tried to get Kent to be able to come in, but he won't. He's like,
Is
they
he
won't
still
even let
too
me.
big for us?
Well, he said they won't even let him drive by another studio. Like,
Yeah. I'll tell you what. This is an unusual deal.
Yeah.
The way that whole thing is structured. I'm just happy Kent's doing basketball. I think he's
He's
the
a lot
voice
of
of that
people.
program. He's great at basketball. He loves it.
Yeah,
Did his 1,000th broadcast last season.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
He's
And I think a lot of
incredible.
people feel the same way. They're glad he's bangarang.
Yeah, he's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah.
He got a
glad that he's-
He got a bangarang tattoo.
Did he really?
Yeah, I got the tat. I said, "What are you? 100
his-
years old? What are you doing?"
On his small
Where's
of his
it at?
back down there.
Did you get like
No, I wouldn't have seen that.
Wouldn't have surprised
I
me.
know.
but
I think
you
it's
wouldn't
on
have
his
seen-
wrist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
He's the man.
It's where all the little teenage girls get their. Oh, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It is a little doves, little turtles.
yeah, right. Little hearts in
right.
a circle or something
Yeah.
like that. That's
Oh, my
nice.
God.
Hey, you guys, this is really fun. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Gary.
for coming in, and we will have you come back. We'll
Yeah.
just
I'd be
go a
happy
little bit
to. I
further.
love it.
I think
Lots
that'd be
more
great.
stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Super. Thank you.
Thinking about
Gary.
writing a book, I got to wait
Really?
for several people to die. But yeah, no, really, I am. I'll just start chatting with people about this happening. That say, man, you got to write a book. Yeah, maybe I will.
Maybe you already have.
It's in here.
It's there. You need to do that.
Translate.
You gotta
Wait
wait
for some
for
people to die.
Yeah.
I get it, though. I get it.
It'll avoid some legal tangles.
Right. Yeah. Warts and all. No, sorry, he's still alive.
Actually, that's the name of the book.
Warts and all.
Oh man.
There you go. All right.
Thanks,
There's a
Gary.
good title in there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Pat and JT Podcast. A Parkville Media Production.